I don't know. Shows there's 4 watching. I don't know if everybody is if it's taking over on the other one or if everybody's got to switch over. For some reason, my computer, the encoder doesn't want to work right. Does that look better? The problem is if I hold my phone the other way, I can't read your comments. Yeah, I have to do it before the stream starts. See, when I started the stream, it told me to switch to flip my phone. So, all right. While we're getting started here, I'm going to somehow see if I can't get it up on my computer so I can read your guys' comments on the computer, because I cannot. Everything keeps disappearing so fast. Maybe I can just go like this. How's everybody doing? First off, everybody said hi and I haven't said hi back. Now you're sideways. Yeah, I figured that. Everybody has GoPros. How's it going, cuz? How's it going, Reimer however you say it. Canadian Farm Dairy Chick. How's it going? Ted's still alive. Massey 1105 driver, doing well. It's warm out. Yes, it's been beautiful the last couple of days. Which we need that before this next round of snow hits us. Got back from hauling hay all day. No, I'm just going to take a stab in the dark. I assume it's pronounced Sylviane. How's it going, Bubba? Warm and toasty. Supposed to get rain tomorrow. It's supposed to start raining here and then switch over to snow in the afternoon, late afternoon, evening. How's it going, Egg Wild? Farming from the Past has new video coming on Monday. Perfect. Well, I'm glad I pronounced it right. So, the only way I'm probably going to be able to get the comments to come up on my computer is to log out and not be logged into anybody. So I guess we'll just skip that. Doing good, Joel, your uncle. It's just a dry and dusty day here. Imagine that. Probably hot during the day and cold at night. I need to shave. No, I don't need to shave. We're going to get cold again, so I got to keep my chin warmer on. Keeps buffering, huh? Going to be about feeding the cows with the mixer wagon with good angles. Perfect. Look forward to seeing it. Gotta stay warm. Yeah. Is it going to snow over there, cuz? Yes, yes. Clover Hill Farm, huh? I don't know where that is right offhand, but yeah, I like our state. I didn't really care for all the cold here the last couple of weeks, but it is wintertime and we're in northern Wisconsin, so. Glad it can make one night shift. Has been killing me. Yeah. Night shift is never fun. But the nice thing about night shift is if you farm, you're home during the day so you can do your chores. God, I hope not. I hate snow. You shouldn't. You've got a snowplow in your truck. Not any snow in South Dakota. -40. Ugh. I don't know if you'll see Eric or not. How's it going, Monty? Haggard Farms. What is going on? Just a little get together to shoot the breeze. James got a John Deere 4630. Didn't come from Nevada, did it? Yeah, we're supposed to get hit tomorrow night, too. Floyd Farms. This message keeps disappearing. I'm hoping we have seen the last of our snow and ice for the year. Everything shuts down when that happens. I'm sure it does. Apparently, down in the Virginias, if it snows and your employee has to walk a block to work, they can't make it to work because they got to drive that far. They can't drive, then they can't come to work, even if it's only a block away. Why did I change the name of my channel? Well, because it seems like every day I get asked 100 times where I farm. So I figured if I put Northern Wisconsin Farming as my channel name, it pretty much explains where I farm. And another reason was to kind of protect some other things because of some things that have been happening with keyboard warriors. So I just got tired of it, so I figured I'd make a little change. He's been off for about 2 weeks. Keep it that way. How's it going, David? Have you heard of planting corn on green stubble? What do you mean by green stubble? I no-till corn into winter rye right after we cut it for hay. I've no-tilled into living hay crop and then sprayed it after we plant the corn into it. And what's this? I'm in Virginia. It's ridiculous. People lose their minds over 2 inches. I've been stationed in Alaska, North Dakota so far. These folks have no idea. Yeah, I'm assuming you're in Virginia right now. Yeah, it's a different world down there when it snows. I mean, just the dusting of snow and they're losing their minds. Planting into green stubble goes really well as long as your corn planter is heavy enough to get the disc openers in the ground. That's kind of an issue I'm having with mine. I took the fertilizer boxes off, and that reduced weight by itself. And being I don't use dry fertilizer, you're not getting that extra weight on the machine to push it in the ground. My planter does have the heavy duty hold down springs, but it'll physically lift the whole machine up. And my markers were cutting in the ground and tipping the machine, so we need to add a bunch of weight to it this spring. But otherwise, it works great. And if you want more information on no-tilling and no-tilling corn into green stubble, check out Ted Kaler. He is in the comments here too. He's another big advocate for no-till. Change is good. Good to see you. Thanks, 69D Ruth. I think it's a good fit. And we got your Canadian welder is begging for subscribers. Everybody tell him that he needs to start making videos. JC Farms, how's it going? Depends on the weather also, yeah. Yeah, Ted's got a great channel, and he shows everything. I mean, the planting, spraying. He gives a lot of crop updates. His cows are actually out grazing on cover crops and corn fodder and stuff, and they look beautiful. There's a lot of good stuff to check out there. I know you're into dairy, but I worked for a guy that rotationally grazed over 400 head of dairy cattle, and a lot of them outwintered all winter long, and they did awesome. There's a lot of potential. I promise. Would I ever plant conventional non-GMO crops? Yes, I would. Next week, I promise. You should plant with the 60, laugh out loud. I just had to bring that up. Well, cuz as soon as you get over here, we will go get that tractor started. Make sure the motor is not seized up. And if that is all good, then we will take the starter out, send it down and have it rebuilt, and we'll use it. Not a problem, Ted. You have really good content, and you're not afraid to share exactly what is happening, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I am all for giving you a shout out and sending people your way because it's useful information. Floyd Farms, we do not do corn, but plant rye and oats into about 6 to 8 inches Bermuda hay, Bermuda grass, just fine with the no-till Great Plains. Why did you take your fertilizer boxes off? Or no, I took the fertilizer boxes off because my corn planter, when I bought it, was a 4-row wide, 40-inch or 38-inch rows. And when I narrowed the machine up, I had to cut the axles, move them in, and then weld the axles back up. Well, when I moved the row units over, the fertilizer box mounts were in the way. So I just took them off and I moved everything over. And in order to get them back on was going to be kind of a pain in the butt. So I didn't put them back on. When I bought the planter, I put dry fertilizer in it 1 year with bags. The second year I had the fertilizer plant bring me out bulk fertilizer put in a gravity box, and then I paled it into it. And I said enough is enough. I would plant the corn and then go back out and broadcast, spread it, and that's what I've done ever since, and it's always worked good. A guy once told me that corn doesn't need a lot of fertilizer to get started. It's after it's growing, so I've kind of gone with his theory on that, and it's always worked good. And I try to do multiple applications, like, you know, break it up so you're not putting all your urea on at one time. And then I try to put a little bit of AMS on once in a while because my land has not had cattle on it. When I bought it, hadn't had cattle on it for many, many years, so I need to grab a Kleenex. All of a sudden I'm talking, my nose will start running. Ted's hoping his cows make it through the snowstorm, still eating the hay grazer and windrows. I think that's a great idea. I mean, if they know it's there, I don't see why they would not paw through 2 feet of snow to get to it. There's a lot of videos. I changed, not only did I change the name of the channel the other day, but I also added, if you look at the channel, I added the discussion section where I don't know if anybody's going to notice it or not, but I put a comment on there the other day asking what people thought we could do to improve the channel. I add that discussion part, and then I also added, you're going to see here, if you guys can see the bottom here, I added a playlist here of a lot of the conservation videos that I watch that are like from NRCS and those type of deals. So that way there's stuff that people can watch that I watch that you can kind of see where I'm coming from. If I'm explaining something, these guys go into a lot more depth than I do. It's hard to go into depth in a video when you're making out walking the pasture. You forget stuff, or I mean, some of these are an hour long. That's why I don't go to bed early. I stay up too late watching stuff like that. And there's a series in here where there is outwintering, winter grazing, and swath grazing is one of them. And that's why I think for Ted it's going to work out great. Especially his cows are getting used to it now. So I thought about experimenting with corn stalks, stock chopping them, then raking them into windrows, and then stringing out polywire. Go down and buy a bunch of rebar, get them set in the ground in the fall, and then in the winter just keep moving polywire up each row, and then let the cows eat the row of corn stalks. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to add about 1,000 pounds to mine too. I thought about just getting two 55-gallon drums from the neighbor and filling them with water and mounting them on the corn planter somehow. It'd be the cheapest weight I could get, but then you got to drain it, so I don't know what we're going to do. That's right, cuz as soon as you get time, you might as well come on over. How's it going, Chris? I I got started watching your part 4, and then I had to eat and start the live stream, so I got to get back to watch your video afterwards. I sold the boxes on an auction, so it's kind of hard to put them back on. How's it going, Scott? My planter is a New Idea toolbar, a New Idea 900, I believe. And then it has Kinsey Row units, which are actually John Deere 7000. So I pretty much get all my parts right at John Deere or Shoop. I normally get everything from Shoop. Yeah, it really sucks getting in bulk if you got to use pails to fill the corn planter. So where in northern Wisconsin? I am, oh, around Rice Lake, between Rice Lake and Eau Claire. Thanks, Goldfire. Yeah, I think split application side dressing is the best way to go. Then you're not putting it all on at one time. Excuse me, if you get too much rain, it's not pushing your nitrogen in the ground too far. If you don't get rain and it gets volatile and it evaporates into the air, that's why I think split application is the way to go. I mean, with bigger guys that are running thousands of acres and are trying to do it by themselves, like with Ted, that could be a pain in the butt. But smaller guys like most of us, how long does it take to get the broadcast spreader from your local co-op and go out there and cover 100 acres? I mean, it doesn't take that long. Ted's using mainly liquid. You know, I thought about getting some tanks and mounting on the planter and then setting up a pump, setting up like the sprayer and just go with it. Regulate it by PSI, and maybe add a little bit of nitrogen or some type of mix as a little bit of a starter. There's always that potential, but I don't cover enough ground. The problem is I put a couple 100-gallon tanks on there. I wouldn't get them empty before I was done planting. And this year I'm going to have even less corn. I'm only thinking about somewhere between 9 and 14 acres of corn for silage, and then another 11 or 12 to pick or combine for the cattle, and then everything else is going to be beans. Yeah, the extra phosphorus, you're right there. The issue I have with my farm is if you look at my soil tests, I am off the charts for phosphorus. So with my NR 590 plan that I have on the farm, I really can't put any more phosphorus on. And they even question me buying corn stalks and bringing them home because I'm bringing phosphorus onto the farm and it already says I'm way too high in phosphorus. So I'm kind of limited on there. So a lot of starters I have to make sure I get so they don't have phosphorus in. The worst part is with our soil tests, it shows a phosphorus reading, but it doesn't tell you how much is plant readily available phosphorus. So it's a difficult thing to deal with. You've got a rice lake. There's a rice lake everywhere. Split app is still the best. I agree. Even if you're doing liquid, I mean, there's so much stuff to worry about. If you get too much rain, it pushes in the ground too far, and then it goes to water. If you don't get any rain, it evaporates and goes in the sky back to where it came from. You know, so I still think split application is, yeah, lucky. I'm lucky I don't have to buy any. You got that right, because I've never priced out phosphorus. When I get fertilizer, I usually just get urea, the AMS, ammonia sulfate, or whatever, and then potash. I don't really buy anything else. I try to give my cows enough minerals that I have enough bypass that hopefully gets my micronutrients built up. So we have done the NRCS here a couple years ago used our farm to pull some tests off of for the new Haney test. That goes into more of your organic matter, your organic fertilizers and whatnot. So they did a Haney test here a couple years ago, and they'll be doing another one in a few more years. And a lot of our micronutrients weren't too far off. And we kind of figured with our mineral program that we're doing, because I put a lot on top of their corn silage. Hopefully, a lot of it bypasses through, and then it builds those micronutrients up. I must have missed something. Oh, Ted, have you ever seen the tumbler fence mover thing that Gallagher sells? I have. There's actually a few videos on YouTube of those, and they look pretty awesome. Especially if a guy was going to outwinter on frozen ground, and you wouldn't have to go and buy 500,000 feet of rebar to cut into 3-foot lengths. Can cover a lot of acres with a 90-foot sprayer. Yes, you can. Floyd Farm says, I've seen those tumblers, but haven't seen anyone use them, and they ain't cheap. I've never seen anyone use them in person. I've only watched YouTube videos on it, but to me, it looks like they look like a heck of a good deal. As long as you can keep your fence tight so they stand straight up and down like they're supposed to. The biggest issue I would have here is my land is so rolling that they might not stand very well. I would not do anhydrous just because it's dangerous. I mean, I don't know nothing about it, and I don't really understand how you can inject it in the ground before planting and it stays there for the whole year, especially with the amount of rains we've been getting. I mean, I'm sure it does. I don't know. I'm not a professional. I would have to talk to like Jeff Raymond or somebody like that uses it and knows about it. I know nothing about it. Don't have the equipment for it. We never used it growing up, so I'm not experienced with it. All I hear is about the spills that time out in North Dakota, and I think it was in Minot when that tank or whatever blew on that train, and they evacuated this whole city. So I know nothing about it. Feeding cows ain't cheap either. You got that right, Ted. A cow can harvest her forage much cheaper than we can ever feed it to her for. Our phosphorus on the farm is natural. It's in the soil. I mean, it's you can go up in the woods and do soil tests. You can do them in the fields all over. It's extremely high in our whole area. If you watch my videos, you see all of our hills, all those glaciers that came down. They brought us all of Canada's phosphorus, I swear. And I'm in an area that's really hilly, and you don't have to go very far from here. Just 10 miles south of us, not even that, and they're totally flat, and they have to buy phosphorus. We don't in this area, but now if you go farther north than me, they're flat again, and they're all blow sand, and they have to buy everything. And if you've ever been in northern Wisconsin, most of it up there is all bogs and jack pine, and it's blow sand up there too. So, or blow sand, and then you've got gravelly type sand. So it's just the area that I'm in why we're so high in phosphorus. It's in the soil, and it's at such a high rate or high amount that I'll never have to buy it in my life. Yeah, I know nothing about anhydrous. I don't know. To me, it seems too dangerous for the risk, but I don't know nothing about it. So, how's it going, PA Farms? We are planning on taxing you guys. Yeah. How's it going, Nathan? Hopefully, you probably missed my explanation on why I changed the name. I know you just asked me a little while ago, but everybody asks me why or where I farm, so I just figured if I changed the name to that, people would understand. And then I changed the name to prevent a few other issues that have been happening with some people. So, what is that? WeBand MN82. Hey, Brett, I come from a small farm in central Minnesota. We broadcast urea. That's what I do. And if I do a split application, I'll do ammonia sulfate the first pass, Normally when the corn's like 6 to 10 inches tall. And then I always do my last pass of spray as late as I can, like when the 6400 is the last thing go through without tipping corn over. So I'll go through and broadcast, and then I'll come back through and spray, and then be done. I need to do some work to my 6400 though, because the PTO, I don't think it's the switch, because when you hit the switch every time the light on the dash comes on, but the PTO doesn't want to turn on. I got to sit there and turn the switch on off 10 times before it finally kicks on. So I don't know if it's the hydraulic valve in the back or if it's the electric actuator solenoid deal. I need to fix that, and then I need to talk to somebody who has one of these newer John Deeres with the electric 3-point like all these new tractors have, because I can't get it to work. It's either all the way down or it's all the way up and laboring. To me, if it's all the way up, it should just have a valve, in your hydraulics to keep it there. So I need to figure out what's up with my hydraulic or 3-point. I actually have the 3-point disconnected right now. I have the electric plug out of the motor in the back taken off, because half the time you start the tractor, you walk away to let it warm up, and you come back and you hear it laboring and hear that the 3-point is all the way up. PA Farms, same here, high phosphorus. I think it's our hills. I think when the glaciers came through, they brought everybody's phosphorus from up north down to us. You'll still get asked, I know. And great informational video on that earlier, Rob. I didn't realize that if you had your subscription list private, that people wouldn't get credit for it. That seems crazy to me. How's it going, Barry? So I switched mine, so now anybody can see who I'm subscribed to. I'm subscribed to about 150, 200 people. Talk to Wes. Here's the problem with talking to Wes. I have sent Wes, I bet, 150 messages in the last 2 years, and he never replies to me, so it doesn't do me any good to ask Wes. So I get farther talking to a brick wall. James, can I tell you about silage? You ask me what you want to know about silage, and I will try my best to answer it. And if I can't answer it or I mess up, somebody else on here will correct me. Ontario Cash Crop Farmer. Hey, Brad, did you change the name of your channel? Yes, I changed it. Northern Wisconsin. I changed it yesterday morning early. Last year's hay crop is fast disappearing. Clint decided to drop peanuts and maybe some of the cotton. Well, I'll tell you what. I honestly think hay is the best crop you can grow. The nice part about it, you don't have to plant it every year. It's already established, after you get it planted. As long as Clint can keep selling it, I don't know what. He might as well keep doing it. I mean, it's nice how he's got his whole family there to help him, too. Good luck with that PTO. All I know is it's going to be expensive. The valve and the solenoid are like 300 and some odd bucks. That's all I can figure what it is. I'm not really worried about the PTO. I just need to order the part. Honestly, Rob, I don't know what the new tractors are, if they're open or closed. I get them confused all the time. I do believe they've changed them since the 40 series and 50, 55 series, so we run about 60 beef, try to cultivate corn, and make the best of it. Yeah, I don't cultivate because I try to be strictly no-till. I made the mistake of working up that ground last year to try that new seeding, and it didn't work out, and it just reassured me that no-till is the way to go on my farm. Yeah, it's when you lift and turn. And the light always comes on when you lift it and turn it. Once in a while when you lift and turn it, the radio goes staticky. So I don't believe it's a switch. I think it's that hydraulic valve in the back. Either the valve or the solenoid on top. But you can't get the old style solenoid anymore. They upgraded it, so you got to buy the whole deal. And it's like between $300 and $400. So it's not that bad. James Swanson, bunker versus bag. Bunker is going to be a lot cheaper. And the reason I say that is because you can only fit so much silage in a bag. With the bunker, the sky is the limit. I mean, you can make a pile up to the clouds if you can get it that high. So, I think bunker is cheaper, and if you're feeding beef cattle like me and Ted are, I'm not gonna waste the money on plastic ever again. I did it this year for the benefit of the doubt, and it's just a pain in the butt. I have found if you don't put plastic over it, you get a crust that's about 3 to 4 inches thick. That seals it off. You can either peel the crust off and throw it in the manure spreader, or you can mix it in. I know guys that mix it right in the TMR, but then you don't have that expense of the plastic and then the pain to clean the plastic up. My 6400 does not have any issue codes. How's it going, Noah? DLK Hay says, hey, how's it going, buddy? You selling any straw bales? 55 series is closed. See, I think if the 55 series is closed, I think once they went to the new 100 series, I think they're open. I believe that's the way it goes because I think they're the same as Case and everybody now. David's PTO does the same thing. I think it's just that valve in the back. All the other hydraulics work perfect. So it's either got to be that solenoid on top of the valve or in the hydraulics, but all the other hydraulics work fine, so I don't know why it would be a hydraulic issue with the PTO. If you rotate with a hay mix, you can fix compaction issues exactly. And honestly, once hay is established, it's established. And if you have a market for it, I think you're better off. The longer you can keep ground inside, the better it is for the ground anyways. Farm grown and country strong. With 3-point, the biggest thing is to set the dial. And see, I don't understand the dial either. No matter where I set it, it never makes a difference. So I don't know if my dial is bad or if the motor on top, in the back there's a motor. I don't know if that motor is bad. And I know that motor is almost $1,000. Maybe is somewhere between 500 and $1,000. So I don't know if that motor is bad or if that dial is bad or what it is, but it's either up or down. And then you can adjust where your slide stops. It doesn't matter where I put that either. It's like you get it halfway up, it'll kind of stop, and then it just kind of slowly drops back down. It's kind of a pain. 600 this week, awesome. Nothing else. Maybe I have to go for a road trip across the state and come over and you can teach me how to run on 3-points. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. Joe, yeah, I don't know. My skid loader, those tires ran up backwards when I bought it. And I've changed the tires numerous times. But my tire changer will not change a skid loader tire. So I always take them downtown. And I never tell the guys to flip them. And I never change all 4 or 2 at a time. There's always one here and one there. So it always gets put back on backwards. And it wouldn't be very hard just to take the bucket, lift the front of the machine, take tires off and swap them. But I have found with the front tires being on backwards, if I'm in mud or manure that's really slimy, with the tires being on backwards, it actually gets me out easier. So I've just left them on backwards. They don't seem to wear any better or any worse than the other tires. What time am I here? Well, I started at 8 o'clock, so it's got to be around 8:30, 8:44 it is here. Do I like Case IH? I have nothing against Case IH. I grew up with green. Well, we had everything, but everything went to green, and I've just stuck with green. I don't get upset or puke or cry like a baby when I got to get in a red one. I got nothing against them. I just prefer green. Case has nice tractors, especially the newer ones. I don't really care for the older ones. I know in some of my videos you guys have seen a Case 2290 sitting in the yard, or what else they got, 1170. I don't care for them older ones. I don't know. They're all right, but I've helped my cousin work on a few of them, and they're just a big heavy tank. I mean, they're great if you're pulling stuff, but to work on them, they're an ox. So 2:35 a.m. here. Where in the heck are you at, bud? Last I heard, closed means you can run more than one operation at once without pressure loss. I don't understand how that works, Darren. I know that on some of them there's valves in the tractor that kind of manipulate what's going on other than when you open and close your valves. I really don't know. I don't understand it that much. I just know that when it has pressure, it works. When it doesn't have pressure, it doesn't. I used to know more than I know now. I forgot a lot of stuff over the years. The rest of the story is live too. Could you teach Tennesseans how to frickin' bale hay? Well, you tell me what they're doing wrong, and I'll try to teach them how to do it. I just put her in gear and give her. Need a good round baler. Well, if I make to that side of the state, I'll stop over. I'd like to see your farm. You got a beautiful farm over there. Me and my wife are really big into doing barn tours and stuff. We love old barns, especially dairy barns. They're getting to be a thing of the past. Before too long, there'll be another generation or two, and they won't know what an old dairy barn looks like because they'll all be gone. Those switches cause a lot of problems. Changes the 10 series switch. Well, I could call down there and get a switch first and try that because it's going to be the easiest thing to fix and probably the cheapest. And worst comes to worst, if I put a new switch in, it's not the problem. It'll have a new switch and the old one will be a spare, I guess. The problem is I am looking at 7000 series, and that has the little yellow switch that you push down and push in to turn on, and just pull it back to shut it off. So it wouldn't be a spare for anything else other than the 6400, but it's not the end of the world to have a backup switch. If I were to replace my baler, what would it be with? A Vermeer 504R. Unless I stick with New Holland. I have nothing against John Deere. I don't know nothing about them. We have 3 other guys around here that do custom baling, and they run John Deere, and they keep telling me that I don't buy a John Deere, that they want to get away from them. And DLK Hay keeps telling me Kubota, and I'd look at one, but I know nothing about them there again. And the other thing is dealer. There's not a lot of Kubota dealers around here, but there's not a lot of Vermeer dealers either. There's one Vermeer dealer, and he is an hour and 15 minutes away, and I don't know where the nearest Kubota dealer is. But that's not saying I wouldn't go look at one, and I wouldn't demo one. Biggest thing with me is money talks. So whatever I get a good price on, but I liked my Vermeer that I had before, and the new Vermeer, I believe the N series and newer now are camless pickup. They have a mega wide head like a New Holland. The only thing I don't like is the net wrap being on the back. That's what I love about the New Holland. The net wrap is the front, and you can physically see it spinning when it's applying. It's one of those things that if it's turning, it's applying net wrap. Where the other ones you can't see them, you don't know for sure. And what worries me is a lot of guys with net wrap on the other brands, they say there's little thin pieces of metal that guide the net wrap back, and those things wear out and stuff. And with the New Holland, there's not a whole lot to go wrong with their net wrap setup. So, I really don't know. I'd like a newer New Holland with a longer PTO so I could turn sharper. And when I go through dips, it wouldn't chatter as much. But other than that, my baler's been a great baler. I mean, for the price that I paid for it, it's made a lot of bales. And Ted will explain to you about the close and open center hydraulics. Yeah, it's too bad when barns are on their last leg and they're hard to save. Massey Ferguson is an awesome brand. I'm sure it is. I just don't know much about them. Massey Ferguson is not popular in this area. It used to be many, 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 many years ago, but you got to go a long ways around here to see a Massey anymore. Most of them are sitting in the weeds. How about Kuhn? I'd look at all of them. Biggest thing is if a dealer has to have something around here. And it seems anymore that dealers don't want to mess with small guys, especially to bring in a piece of equipment for them to try. So but I would try a Kuhn. I like Kuhn equipment. I'm looking forward to seeing your new 560 round baler work. No Mrs. LVF tonight. Why the name change? Mrs. LVF is busy with schoolwork, and I changed the name because everybody asked me where I farm, and I had some people pulling some stuff, so I just changed the name. Not that the name change is going to prevent them from the crap they were pulling, but it's kind of protecting some other issues or some other things. We won't have anything without Tucker wheels for hay. Keeps the wind is blowing. Yeah, that my Vermeer had Tucker wheels or gathering wheels on it. The only issue I had with those on the Vermeer was the twine tubes were in the front. And in hay, it wasn't as big of a deal, but in corn stalks, you back up, them gathering wheels will come backwards. If there's a stock on them, it ripped the twine out of the tube, and it was a pain. On that Vermeer, you had a cable that you'd have to use to feed the twine back through. It was a pain. And that's why I got the Vermeer, or the New Holland, is because everybody wanted me to switch to net wrap. And I couldn't find a Vermeer that had net wrap in a price range that I could afford at that time. I think all brands anymore are good as long as you get commercial grade machine. I agree. Med6 has a video up. Can people meet you? They sure can. I actually host events here, normally at least once a year. I mean, Mr. Nate has been here. Ford Farmer has been here. I've met quite a few people. And we host, if you're into pasture walks like rotational grazing or cover crops or anything like that, soil health, I mean, we usually host at least one event here a year. It's put on through the NRCS FSA office, and then there's a grazing outfit that is also a part of it. Some northern hay producers swear by Kuhn. I want to upgrade my mowers. I like the $14.99, but I really want to go to a disc spine with a flail impeller, back to a 10.5 foot. And if I do that, I'm going to go to an 8-wheel V-rake, and I really want to get the new either Kuhn or Vermeer. They're basically the same thing. They're a lot easier to set up, and then when they fold up flat instead of like this, and then the back teeth, back wheels are dragging on the ground. That's the one problem I have with my old Vermeer. Ever hear of teff grass? I have heard of it, but not much. When am I planning on getting pigs, and how profitable are they? Hopefully my wife isn't listening. I'm going to get pigs here pretty soon because I have a bunch of customers that want pigs this year. I have a friend that owns a bar, and they started a barbecue service or whatever, pig roasting service, and he's already put in an order for a couple pigs. My buddy over at the Weekend Homestead, some of you have checked out his channel. He wants a pig. I need another pig, so I'm going to be raising some again this year, and they will be coming in the next, with it, I'll be closer to spring. They don't gain very good in the wintertime. Actually, if you don't have a heated barn or a warm building for them, they don't really gain much in the wintertime. I guess feeding a pig right now is better than selling corn for $2.75 a bushel. It's more profitable than corn raising the pig. I'll put it that way. To say there's money in pigs, it all depends. If you're buying feeder pigs at $40 a piece at $1 a pound, and feeding them out, there's not a lot of profit unless you can direct market them, and you got to get about $250 a pig to make money. If you don't get at least $200, you're not even breaking even. But if you can direct market them, yes. If you can have your own sows and farrow them out, then there's more money in pigs if you're not direct marketing to your customer. I don't know any numbers on that because I've never raised the sows to farrow out. I'm just going off a secondhand word of, our sows eat this much, and then kind of doing the math myself. But I have thought about getting sows and doing that, but I don't like pigs that much, so I love the cows. I love cows. I've always have. I like raising pigs, but I don't love pigs. So I don't know that I could have them here year-round and have to deal with it all the time. And if I did, I'd have to build another barn and an area for them. So I could probably try and pencil out some figures on it and make a video on it. It's going to be a guesstimate for the most part because I don't know what the markets are all the time. I can pull numbers off what the recent sales have been. It seems to me that it takes about 600 to 700 pounds of feed to finish out a hog from a feeder pig to a slaughter hog. So you can kind of do the math on that. And it takes about 25% of that needs to be soy meal to get them finished. So if you can do the math on that, then whatever price you think you can get for your pigs, you can kind of pencil it out. You demoed a 648. It had 16,000 bales and they wanted 13. Ouch. It's a lot of bales on a baler for 38,000. I say they're on crack too. McHale is the best baler. I got scrutinized for commenting on something about the new baler. I don't know if it was a John Deere or what it was. I commented on Wes's video about the new John Deere or whatever the heck it was, that brown baler, and then right attached to it, it has the wrapper. I got scrutinized because I said, oh, it looks like a McHale knockoff. And everybody gave me a hard time because, oh, it looks so much different than McHale. Well, they're copying their design. Maybe it doesn't look exactly like it, but it still looks like a McHale. And I believe that McHale is probably the best. And I wouldn't mind running one someday. If I did a lot of baleage, I'd love to have that where it's the round baler wrapper combo. That'd be awesome. I must have missed something. Massey, no, David. I was hoping Brad would shed some light on it. It must be talking about the teff grass. I'm not for sure. If you ever stop in Knoxville, go to Sweetwater Dairy Farm. If I ever get to Tennessee, I'll check it out. Gotta save money and come down one of these times. I'm only a short 14-hour drive away. And new passport. If I'm sure all of you guys subscribe to DLKA, but if you don't, go check out his channel. He's got a new business venture going on that's pretty interesting. Impeller conditioner, yeah, Ted, that's what I'm looking at. And the only reason is because the Claws has that. And side by side to my mowers, his everything he cut for me was dry 2 days before mine. I've had nothing but problems with roll conditioners. Your Dispine has what I call the Heston style crimpers in it, and I call them that because even my old 1160 Heston and my old 1150 that I had those same crimpers in them where the crimp, it's an inch wide or whatever, unlike the Chevron rolls or whatever that John Deere and New Holland, the basic machines have. In the 1411, the tensioner on the rolls broke. I don't know I don't even know exactly how it works, but it quit working, so there's no tension on the rolls, so that doesn't dry hay. Now my old Heston, that one works better, but I just kind of want to go to an impeller because I don't really grow alfalfa, so I'm not too worried about it knocking leaves off. Anyone know any good jokes? Yeah. Anybody know any good jokes? You know what's up? You know what's up? A chicken's ass when it eats. What to get into no-till? How do you deal with shit? How do I deal with shit? I'm assuming you're meaning manure. Normally I don't have a problem with it. Normally if it's heavy, I'll just go with light drag and just spread it out so it's not big clumps. Otherwise, my no-till coulter is usually slice it enough that the disc openers go in and it plants the corn. And the drill is even better because the drill's so heavy. I don't really have a problem with it. If you have big piles, just take a pony drag or light drag out there and kind of spread it around so it's not a big pile. Otherwise, like Dawn roll cleaners to put in front so it just kind of brushes it out of the way and you should be golden. Tomorrow if I can get one, kids. So anybody that doesn't subscribe to DLK, hey, he's promising us a video tomorrow, basically. 330 corn there. It's amazing how much the corn price changes from area to area. 275 here. I tell you what today's cash price is, but I'm using my phone to do this, so I can't look it up. Um, what do I know about Equip? I'm assuming is what you mean. I think that's Equip program. Thinking of looking into cost sharing some fencing to graze cover crops. Is it worth the hassle? It is worth the hassle. Let me tell you what. Um, when I started rotational grazing, they think they pay $1,000 a year to beginning farmer to start up something like that. And when I started, I chose. They didn't help me put any infrastructure in. Basically, the program I chose was it was $1,000 a year, and I just kept records of the sprayer settings, the sprayer height, the PSI, the amount of chemical I was putting down. Proved that I was using no-till practices, and there was one other thing. I'm in the Equip program right now. Um, I'm at a much higher rate now because I am not only. That was my practices then were just payment for grazing. I wasn't in anything else. Now I'm in um, grazing. Um, uh-oh. No, DLK, hey, sending me messages. Grazing, no-till the crops. I'm into a wooded deal where I get paid for doing certain things in the woods, like what we're doing now, thinning. Um, across the road over by the swamp, I have some trees that we girdled, and then all the bark is drying up. So it's kind of a habitat for bats and what have you. And then the maple syrup is also involved in that wooded process. But I think the Equip program is great, especially if you have great government people to work with, like I do. My local NRCS office, if you go back to one of my first videos, the first year of the pasture walk, the guy that's talking in there is one of my local NRCS guys that I deal with, and he's awesome. He is as smart as you can get when it comes to soil health and that kind of thing and cover crops. Um, he's been great to work with. It's nice when you have somebody in office like that that's batting for you because you know what you're doing and they know you know what you're doing instead of having them always against you and fighting you. So I think the Equip program is worth it. And it's not that much hassle. Well, everybody, good looking monkey, Peter Horn, or Peter North here, old porn star. He's in the house. Everybody say hi to Peter. Call him bullshit. Caner Hagers will rap on impeller machines, I've heard. Would be my concern. Yeah, it's altogether possible. I need to worry about orchard grass once it gets to be about 3 feet tall. Winter round when it gets to be about 3 feet tall, and that's about all I have to worry about because the other crops don't get that tall here. I don't know if I came down, if I dare one day get early. 14-hour drive isn't very far. Purchased a John Deere tractor in Cali. What model tractor? Any kids? Yes, I have kids. Do they work on the farm yet? Yeah, they help a little bit. They've got a horse they're supposed to take care of, but don't do much with it. We do 3, but only 2 are ready to start giving dad and mom a hand. Usually, once they can start bottle feeding, that's a good job for them to start with. Not too much work to make them hate it. Ontario Egg Guy, how's it going, bud? How's it going, Scotty? Hey, Peter Piper. All best wishes, fans. Thanks, Peter. 4 cute courts north. I'm doing good, bud. Another day in paradise, getting ready for another snowstorm. It's supposed to rain, then turn to snow, I guess. Talking 6 to 10. Yippee yay. Problem with snow, I don't mind snow. I hate plowing snow because it's an expense for nothing. You move snow just so you can get in and out of the driveway, but you don't make any money doing it. You don't get paid to do it. It doesn't make anything grow. You're just moving snow. You're just wasting money. I hate plowing snow. Unless you're plowing for somebody else, but I don't plow for anybody else. Everybody's too anal. You hit something in their yard, or you broke a branch off a tree, or you put the pile in the wrong spot. So I started when I was 12. How was the weather up north there? Much snow? We had a decent amount of snow, but most of it melted. It's been around 40 here the last couple of days, so. But we're supposed to get 6 to 10 tomorrow through Monday. You blower plow. I just use a bucket on a skid loader. Fuzzy face. That's to keep my chin warm when it gets cold out. You're waiting for spring thunderstorms. I am too, to tell you the truth. Remember last year doing maple syrup? We had our first thunderstorm, and I had made a video of it. I don't know if I put it on Instagram or if I put it on YouTube. My Bobcat is a 763. It's a 98 model, I want to say. Rated at 1,500 pound lift, so it's a pretty small machine. You sound like me. How's it going, Pratt's Greenhouse? Emerald Valley Farms, how's it going? Maryland. How many Canadians on here? First, I thought I said comedians. Oh, she doesn't make me shave. She likes it now it's soft. And start petting me like a cat or a dog. There's quite a few Canadians on here. My neighbors to the north, they're not that far away from me. Thanks, Scotty. I just think the new name is fitting. I mean, I get asked all the time where I'm farming. Two Canadians here. Sylviane, did you go down to World Dairy Expo this year, or have you ever gone there? JC Farms. In one of your previous videos, you said if you were starting out, you would buy feeder cattle instead of starting with cows at first. Can you elaborate? If you can afford cows, I would buy a few cows, but I don't know that I would stick all my money into cows, because if you buy a cow, even if she's bred, you have to wait out the rest of her pregnancy before she even drops a calf. The calf may or may not live. If the calf lives, you've still got how many months until that calf is ready to market if you're going to sell it as a feeder calf? If you're going to finish it, you've got another year and a half from the time it's born until the time it's finished, give or take. So you're waiting a long time for a return on your investment. Where feeder cattle, you can buy them as many as you want, whatever you can afford. You're going to feed them for a set period of time and turn around and resell them. So you're going to have a faster return on your investment. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of buying heifers or cows, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. Dave says coon mowers are good, but we have two easy cut 320s. They do not use shear hubs. Robert asks if I ever want to upgrade my skid steer. I want to buy a second one, a bigger one, but I'm going to keep the one that I have. Just if you look online, the same exact machine in the same condition as mine is bringing $8,000. but I can't guarantee they're selling them for that. And if you go to trade it off, they're going to give me $2,000 for it. It's worth more than that sitting in the shed as a backup. My thinking is I want to get another one, a bigger machine with at least a 2,000 pound lift capacity, the newer style, nicer cab, vertical lift. And then I want to put the tracks on this one and leave the tracks on it year round so it's always ready for dirt and manure work. Did I miss something? Scotty says, don't you know? Well, everything's going good here. Just waiting for spring. Canadian here, hence the name. The new name threw a lot of people off, and I should have made a video explaining it, but I figured most people would catch it anyways. Did I miss something here? Cows have high input costs. They do. Everything has high input costs. It's crazy. You know, even buying feeder calves isn't cheap, but it's a faster turnaround. You know, in raising pigs, not to deter anybody from raising pigs, they're a fast turnaround. The harder you push them, the faster turnaround it is. There's some money to be made in them, but if you can find a niche market and sell them on Craigslist like I normally do, then there's money in them. But if you have to send them all to sale barn, then it's really, there's really tight margins. Giving the welder part-time to catch up, says the Boilermaker. Very high, yeah. Never been, but we'd like to Woodstock show in September here in Ontario. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know if you'd ever been to World Dairy Expo or not. There's a lot of people from Canada that actually come down to it. 743. No, that's smaller than what I got now. I want to get like an S205, something around that size. I don't want to go much newer than those because I don't want to get into the, what do you call it, like the multi-port injected diesel or common rail diesel. I don't want to get into those. I want to stay away from computers. Brass South 49 for some reason. If you start an operation, feeders are easier for sure. That is right. Ontario A Guy says the reason I like thunderstorms is I like to photograph them, but photographing lightning is hard. What you need for that is you need one of those professional cameras that when you push the button, it'll continuously snap shots for as long as you set the timer. That's what you need for doing those. And then even then it'd probably still miss it. Never heard of the Woodstock show. I'll have to look that up. S175 would be a nice machine too. It's only going to be 100 pound. Well, I guess it's 1750, so it's 250 pounds, rated higher than mine. My neighbor across the road has one that when I was in between machines, I borrowed it a couple times to clean my shed. It's a nice machine. The dairy farm that I worked for, the 1 year that I quit, he had a S185 that he bought. I talked him into buying it because he had New Hollands. I told him he needed to get a Bobcat, a much better machine. Didn't take long, and he liked the Bobcat more than New Holland. There's nothing wrong with New Holland skid loaders. I just don't care for them. The New Holland doesn't have as much ground clearance as the Bobcats, and on the newer ones, the new L200 series, I can't speak for them because I don't know. I've never seen anything other than what you guys post on here of them. But my cousin has L185. I should say he had. That was just traded off on a mini end loader. The guys that follow me on Instagram have seen the picture of it. I'll be making a video of it here one of these days. We had an L160, L170, and those things were always broke down, and they didn't have the ground clearance that the Bobcat has. And a buddy of mine who has a business, where he's got a Bobcat excavating business, He has 2 New Hollands and 4 Bobcats. 1 Bobcat track machine, 1 Bobcat like mine with steel tracks, and the other 2 are just wheel machines. And he said he'll never buy another New Holland again. I don't know what all of his reasonings are, but he said number 1 was ground clearance. Feeders are great, but if not buying off the farm, you better educate yourself. Good vaccine plan, exactly. Market calves can be a time bomb for shipping fever. And with that being said, from Pratt's Greenhouse, many of you probably follow Landmark Cattle. He is doing a series right now on Holstein calves, and he was kind of explaining today about the vaccines and all that. That's exactly true. If you can buy direct from the farm, you're better off. If you buy from the sale barn, you're not only buying the cattle that you bought, you're buying the bugs that they bring home from the sale barn too. And that's why I haven't bought any animals, because I don't want to bring any foreign bugs home. The last animal I brought home was many years ago, and it wasn't a week later. My whole herd had pneumonia, and we had to bring everybody through the chute in the middle of winter and give them, pretty sure it was Nuflor, and all my pregnant cows, everybody. It was a nightmare, so we won't bring animals home anymore. I should buy more. Right now, bred cows are. Their Craigslist is flooded with $950 bred cows. It's pretty cheap for bred cows, so that tells you the markets aren't very good. But when you bring bugs home from another farm in the middle of winter, it's a stressful time anyways, and then you have issues. But if you can buy farm direct your feeder calves, you're better off. Then it's less stress anyways. They're going from one farm to the other and not going from farm to sale barn back to another farm. Yep, Woodstock show is good. Any people on here have any tips or info? There's a lot of people that have them. I guess you're doing an open front barn. I don't know much about. That guy that I worked for, he had a freestall barn where in the wintertime we keep the cows locked in at night, then during the day they go out to pasture, even in the middle of winter. He had a Val Metal, I believe it was. It was either Val Metal or Agrival 5600. It's got a hammer set in it, and then it blows out the back, and you can turn the spout. We use that for bed and freestalls. In the calf barn. That worked awesome. How's it going, Bandit? Holy crap, I didn't even know you changed your name. A lot of people didn't. It shouldn't have affected anybody unless they were searching it, because if they're already subscribed, if you go like me and your subscription list, it always has the newest video, and then you can look back to the ones you watched. It should come up anyways. It would show a different name, so I figure it'd throw a bunch of people off. Yeah, pigs are a fast turnaround. Yeah, those will reach up and grab stuff. That's why they're only 18 inches tall instead of 2 feet. It is what it is. Normally my skid loader doesn't reach high enough to hit most things, but I had to move the hay tonight and the calving barn, get everything moved over so I can get to working on that again. And I knew before I started to keep an eye on them, because they would catch anything. But otherwise, normally I'm not in a building with them. I stack my hay outside typically, so. It's an outdoor show, huh? Landmark got S300 used. Yes, he did, and he has done a lot of work to it. Just working on the new computer. You're lucky that it's still the same Windows operator that you had before. It's just all the other goofy stuff with these computers. Everyone in the house is different. There's 5 computers in this house, and every one of them is different, I swear. No two are alike. It's pathetic. You get used to one thing, and then you go on the next one, and you're lost. Do you have to spend more on chemicals in no-till? I don't think so. Because I spray the same amount now as I did before. Maybe I spray one more time than I did before. But when we used to do tillage, it seems like you plant the corn, the weeds would come so much faster, so you end up spraying twice anyways. And now, with me cutting before I plant, I cut, get the bales off, and plant right away. And you've got a week or two before you spray anyways, because with winter rye in corn, you have, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, I know I am, but you get a however you pronounce it. So with corn, you cannot no-till it into killed winter rye, per se. Um, the winter rye emits that thing, and it prevents this other seed from germinating. It doesn't affect soybeans, it affects corn. So you're better off no-tilling your corn into it while it's green and then spraying it like 2 weeks later. So I spray the same amount now as I did before I was no-till. Um, and I use generic Roundup, and I don't spend that much on spray, so I don't think it's that much more. I was told that if I go to organic, or not organic, but go to conventional, everything is more than double the cost because of the chemicals. I don't know if that's true, but when you're looking at $100 a bag or $120 a bag for conventional versus $250 a bag for Roundup Ready, it makes the guy think. But they say you make up the cost and the price of the spray, so I really don't know. Have you ever watched Peak with Hanks? He's a great lightning photographer. I've never even heard of him. 175 was the one we rented. I prefer John Deere Bobcat over Cat. We've always had Bobcat, even growing up had Bobcat. I've never run a John Deere skid loader. Friends of mine had New Holland. The guy I worked for had a New Holland. We always had Bobcat and stuck with them. 1818 case. Need a bigger skid steer. Am I going to Howe Farms workday? Probably not, because they are like an 8-hour drive south of me. How's it going, Jeff? I go down to Howe Farms Day work if Jeff goes to. We can ride share together. Poss, would you ever go to Woodstock show? It's huge, like 2 to 3 days to walk. Wow. I first you'd have to tell me what town it's in, and I will search it. And you never know. Me and my wife are gonna go on a trip here one of these days. One of these years, I should say. We want to go to Canada. I really want to go to Alberta and see DLK Hay and Anderson Cattle Company and those guys. One of our favorite shows is recorded up there, and kind of like to go see that area. It looks like beautiful country. And I've never seen the Rocky Mountains, so I wouldn't mind heading over that way and seeing that stuff. Swing up through Alberta and come back down through South Dakota on the way back. Visit Ted. They still let you search as old name and search engine for now, at least. Rita, you silly. You looking into getting a TMR mixer? I'm still searching around. I'm not gonna jump the gun on buying one. I'm still searching. I really want to just get a stationary one for in the shed that I can mix the steer feed in. The cows, I'm not worried about doing TMR with them because it's a bale and a bucket a day. Cows don't need TMR. The steers, I'd like to get a stationary one that would be in the shed, be inside protected, flip a switch, it runs. Then I can just run the one machine a day, the skid loader or whatever. But I am looking for one. I don't know what I'm going to do for sure. I'm kind of on the fence with that. I don't know. I am looking for one though. I'm looking for like a 2120, 2170 night stationary with a scale. Scale's a big thing. I really want a scale so I can. I'm a numbers person. I sit and do figures all day long. I want to know the numbers. What am I feeding? So I am still looking for one. Sylvia Sauer has one. Yeah, he has one or two different ones. Also Sylvian, Farming 4G out in North Dakota, they have Vermeer, I believe. Um, there's a bunch of different ones, guys that are actually have videos of theirs, different bale processors. By the way, great new name. Thank you, bud. We turned down, we burned down a rye and plant corn into it with the dead. Yeah, it's. I never even knew about this until this past spring with that. I have planted into winter rye all different stages, and I've never had an issue. But somebody brought it up last spring, and it made me nervous. I'd already had my corn planted, but I really don't worry about it. The corn's always come up. The biggest issue I've had here the last couple of years is my marker arms cut into the ground. It lifts my corn planter up. Well, then it takes weight off the outside row units, and that's why I've been having so bad of skip problems. This year I'm gonna swap my mounts, the outside parts of my markers, so they cut the other way, so they're pulling instead of pushing, and I'm hoping that'll cure the issue. Otherwise, I'd like to demo a GPS unit for spraying and for planting, but like a lot of guys told me, if you don't have a subscription to it, the GPS isn't as good. So I don't know if a guy'd be better off. I don't know. I really don't know. How's it going, Josh? Conventional corn would be tricky, but yeah, that's right, Ted. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna stick with Roundup Ready. I am gonna go back to a little bit shorter day corn, and I'm not gonna get artesian. Um, I don't know that it was the artesian part of my corn this year that was the issue. Um, and I know I might lose a little bit of yield going to a shorter day corn, but I want to get that time slot where I can plant it a little bit later and harvest a little bit earlier so I can make sure I get the cover crop in on time so I can follow it up with grazing and then get that cutting of winter rye or whatever off before the following spring. So I'm going to have to go a little bit shorter day corn. But what I'm giving up for a little bit of yield on the cash crop, I'm making up for a feed crop for my cows. So I've never planted longer than an 85 or an 86 day corn before this year, and this year was a 90. There was a 91, one bag of 91, two bags of 94, and then the rest was all 96 day. And that's way longer than I've ever planted. And I should have, if I would have known about the Ag PhD website that I don't remember which one of you fellers told me about. If I'd have known about that and the whole growing degrees versus the days, theoretically we should have had enough. But it said that we were 400 and some growing heat degree units or growing degree units behind in our area. So I don't know. If I would have planted an 80 to an 85 day corn for my planting date, it says it would have been mature. And I don't know how many growing degree units behind on mine. It was like 300 growing degree units short or something like that. You can get Roundup Ready seed corn for 165, 175 a bag. Generic Roundup is real cheap. And I use Cornerstone and Tomahawk for my generics. I don't use anything else. I only use Roundup. Glyphosate, I do not use any pre-emergence or nothing like that because I don't know nothing about it. I don't know if I got to have an applicator's license for that. So I just use what I can spray. I've been thinking about going to get an applicator's license. The problem with that is then everybody wants to come do custom work, and I don't like doing any more custom work than I have to. I like round bale and corn stalks, but I don't know. Come to Petersburg, Ontario. I don't even know anything up in that area. It's probably like Ohio. Well, I shouldn't even say Ohio isn't. We drove through Ohio. I don't know how to explain what the area would be like. I don't know nothing about on that part of Ontario. John Deere fan made it. Your husband wants to know if I have a video on seeding green and what type of attachments you have. Um, I have videos of me no-tilling into all. I mean, I have a bunch of videos of me no-till planting. no-tilling corn and no-tilling. I have two no-till drills. I do everything no-till. We have one of me no-tilling alfalfa this summer with the 6400 and the no-till drill, direct seeding alfalfa into bean stubble. Um, but all my videos of spring planting should be into basically planting into winter rye. Everything I planted into was winter rye, or then the field out here that I had the most trouble in, I was planting into a 2.5, 3 foot tall hay that we didn't cut for hay because we were going to leave it for fodder on top of the ground. So I do. Otherwise, like I say, check out Ted's videos too. He's got a bunch of no-tilling videos. I guess when you say planting green, I mean it's some of it's sprayed, some of it's still green, but we're planting into a cover crop. I have always wanted to go to Great Plains and see a real thunderstorm. Yeah, you get out in North Dakota and South Dakota and that, you can see for a long ways. Coming home from North Dakota, we were still in North Dakota racing. And my wife says, "Wouldn't it be nice to see a tornado or something like that?" Well, there was one 20 miles behind us coming our direction. We just drove a little faster. Did I miss something here? Nice show, chat hater. We'll chat later. See you later, 69. Yeah. Brooks has a bunch of videos of their bale processor. GPS makes you lazy farmer. I just get GPS, not auto steer. If I had auto steer, I'd fall asleep. My tractor would probably jump the road and do all kinds of goofy stuff. It's a shame you can read the chat, but you can't see the video. I'm still using Windows XP on my main computer too. I don't know why you can't see the video though. I think you should make a bunch of videos of your skid loaders, especially your teardowns. You got to do a lot of work to what you do to your skid loaders, tearing them completely down. Easy Guy 250 is a really good starting GPS, and that is what I was looking at. Without a subscription. What is their? Do you know what their accuracy is? You know how many inches a row would be off? Because I mean, I don't know. Need a license to get good, and need a license to get better chemicals. Yeah, need a license to get good stuff. Anybody having trouble seeing the page? Refresh the page. And I'm using my phone, so this has always worked the best. I don't know, the computer, we started this thing, and then all of a sudden my encoder quit working, so I'm kind of sold on using the phone. Other than I need to log off on one of my computers so I can actually see what you guys are seeing instead of doing it this way, because if I take my finger off, the chat heads go away and I can't see nothing. Tomahawk is $11 per gallon, and that could very well be. I don't know what one Jeff is talking about, but I have leftover Tomahawk out in the shop. I could take a picture of it and send you the one that I use. I've had really good luck with it. I used Cornerstone before Tomahawk, and the only reason I went to Tomahawk is because I have a seed dealer just down the road from me, and that's what they carry. They don't carry Cornerstone. And before, I would either buy Roundup or Cornerstone, depending on which was cheaper, and sometimes Roundup would be cheaper, sometimes Cornerstone would be cheaper. So I'd always get, when I get Cornerstone, to be the Cornerstone Plus. Can I tell you about my fences? I can tell you about my fences. You ask questions, and I'll answer your questions. Otherwise, we'd have to make a video on it because I don't really know what to tell you about them. Am I asking to lose money buying pigs feed initially till I can afford a mixer? I don't think so. With pigs, you don't have to mix their feed. Not with a mixer. If you just get cracked corn and then take 3 scoops of corn and a half a scoop of soy meal and mix together in a pail is all you got to do. You don't need a mixer for that if you buy cracked corn. Thanks, Sylviane. I'll be checking out your videos, but when they're in French, I can't watch them. I don't. Swing up your. Alright. I probably should stay away from the tornadoes. There's a lot of crazy people that like chasing tornadoes. My gates I get from Cohen Manufacturing. They're, I don't know, $300 a gate or something like that. Somebody shared something the other day that you can buy them from Valley Egg or something like that for $170 a gate. So they're not that expensive. And mine, what you guys see is only half of one. Going into my steer lot, that's only half the gate. There's supposed to be two of them that swing like this. I just use half because I only have 12-foot gates. So I take one half, put it here, and then the other half is going to the cows. And I have like two more of those, I believe, in different spots. Or I have them 4 different spots. So they're not that expensive. They're well worth having. With auto steer, you're more alert to what your equipment behind you is doing. That is probably very true. Do I have a sub goal by the end of the year? Yours is 100. I do not have a goal anymore. I am fine with the size of my channel. It seems like it grows about 15, between 5 to 15 subs a day. I'm fine with that. But excuse me, it's perfect size. I think I can, it's, to me, it's perfect size. It can continue to grow. That's fine, but I don't really have a goal for it. I do not know what Roku Box is. See you later, Goldfire. Are you going to tube your hillside this spring for sap? I'm sure I will because tubing is cheap. I still have the tubing from last year I could use again, just run some water through it and clean it or whatever, but I'm sure I will. New tubing is really cheap. I mean, and there's a store 20 minutes from here or whatever that sells all that stuff. Actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. That's where I get most of my stuff. I mean, everything is in here. All the way down to evaporators and testers and the whole 9 yards. That's where I get all my supplies. I just don't get fancy bottles or anything because I don't sell it. If I was going to do that, I'd have to get a better filter set up or whatever because I just filter through cloth. And it seems like no matter what I do, I can never get rid of all the sugar sand. And I know if you put your syrup inside, the brown plastic jugs, you're not going to see the sugar sand. But I don't know if you've got to have any type of license or anything to sell it. I don't know that much about it. I just started doing it when my daughter was younger, and it was just something fun to do. So that's all it's really been. And I only make 2 to 3 gallons a year, and then I give some to family and friends for Christmas, and then I don't think we've used 2 jars this year. So I should just collect the sap and give it to friends, and then they can boil it down. I do not have a subscription. Accuracy depends on where you're at. And see, I'm in the hills. That's what I'm afraid of. Although my phone usually holds a GPS location when I use my hunting apps and stuff, so I don't know. Tomac 5.5. They say within 6 inches used. Okay. Buccaneer Plus for generic. Grinder. If you just buy cracked corn and mix it with soy meal and throw in a little bit of mineral with it, that's all you need. It's Pigs will actually, you can go and pick your corn and throw a whole cob of corn there, and pigs will eat it. Um, they're they're not that picky. For what a mixer costs just to get started, I would not invest the money. I'd just get cracked corn and grown 44% soy meal and hand mix it. With pigs, you don't really need equipment. Yeah, only one in French. They come with two antennas. The one is 12 inches, I think, and the other is 6. I could be wrong, though. And somebody told me if I were to get one to order an upgraded antenna right away. Am I going to add any red to the farm? After my John Deere collection is done. I got all kinds of red. It pulls behind the green. Um, Someday we'll get some red. Someday when I'm rich and I can afford just to go fill a shed with tractors, then we'll get red ones. We had a few. I had a 504 row crop diesel. That was a nice tractor, except for my wife drove it and she could hardly push the clutch and the brakes in. We actually ended up removing one of the clutch springs from it, so it was easier to push in, but it wasn't a bad tractor. I'd like to get a 706 someday. Just, they're a cheap running tractor. No winter blues in Florida. Yeah, I was talking about drive-through gates. Very handy for a guy that works alone. Dad's D14 later this year. It's the finer you can get your feed for pigs, the better. But I don't know that it makes that big of a difference, especially just to get started. How's it going, Elizabeth and Jade? I might change over to green. Honestly, I don't think it matters what color you have. It's what you can afford to buy. And I don't care what color it is. It's what they're asking the price, because every color is expensive. Every color is expensive to fix. It doesn't matter what color it is. It's what you're comfortable with and what the availability is in your area. I don't want none of them. John Deere is supposed to be an American company. 99% of it's made overseas in every country, and then it goes to one spot and it's all smashed together. I mean, nothing is anything anymore. Just like Cummins. Cummins is an English engine. You know, I mean, you put an English engine in a whatever tractor. I mean, it's nothing is true American anymore. Nothing is true, anything anymore. They're all Heinz 57. It's all thrown in the mix, so it doesn't matter what it is. It's just whatever color you want to sit in, I guess. I got nothing against red, green, or blue. I'm just comfortable with Deere. And forget red ones by orange. There used to be a lot of Alice around here, and they have slowly disappeared. Jeff, I don't know. I'm as ready for the snowstorms as I'm going to be. I mean, I can't change it. No sense crying about it. I started the generator today to make sure it's ready to rock and roll, and fired right up, so I'm ready for it. Farm with green, play with red. I have a friend that pulls tractors not far from here, and he's got a red one and a green one for pulling, but he does all of his farming with green ones. Blake got here late. Everything is too much, and that is true. Seeds too much, fuel's too much, inputs are too much, price of equipment is too much, commodity prices are too little. Those drive-through gates will not scratch a vehicle's paint. They have a garden hose sleeve, and then at the end there's supposed to be a rubber cap on there that's supposed to rub down the side of the vehicle. I'm sure they could scratch. I've never noticed any scratches. They brag that they won't scratch. And normally I get a mailing from them once a year to order stuff, but it's Cohen, Koehn, is where I've ordered mine from. But I know Chad from Bonnie Boone's farm, he just sent me a link on Facebook the other day that he could find them for $170 a piece, and I think I was paying close to $300. So it might have been through like Valley Vet or NASCO or something like that had them. I know NASCO carries them, but it seemed to me they were more expensive than the place I ordered them from. But no, normally they say that they don't scratch paint. How's it going, Cameron? They all break down. If I had unlimited funds, I would have a bunch of every model or of every make. I mean, I'd really want a TW15 series too, but I'd rather have a 7410 or a 7610 Deere. Service department salesman make the deal. Yep. Ted hauled 400 bales in the last couple of days. Well, hopefully your cows can keep swath grazing. There are still plans to buy another tractor. Yep. I can't make any promises on when it's going to happen, but it will happen here sooner or later. Gallagher makes an electric version of those. I'm sure they do. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, too, that Gallagher has the handles like I'm looking at. I just looked them up tonight right before we did the live stream. And they are a little bit different and a little bit lighter duty than what I get. And KV Supply or something like that has my gate handles, the same yellow ones that I have, 89 cents a piece. That's how much I paid for them. And mine are non-conductive, and I have them that way because that way I can hook them to a powered one, string my poly wire out, put my pigtail posts in, and when I get to the end, I can set it for my length, drop it over hot wire, and then you can work with it while it's, if your other fence is being on and not get electrocuted. That's why I have the non-conductive ones. Hey, you changed your name. I did change my name. I heard it was too hard to actually change your name, like your actual name, so I figured I'd just change my channel name. Why the new name? Well, new name because I kept getting the question all the time where I farm, and I had some people pulling some crap on my channel, so I made a change for some other reasons, so I felt that a change was needed. Lots of live streams tonight. I couldn't tell you because I'm doing one, so I don't know who else is live streaming. You chase storms and farm. 149 through Valley Vet Supply for a 14-foot gate, I think. Huh. See, mine is they're 18. There's like one that's a 16 to a 20, and then one that's a 20 to a 24. And I always buy the 20 to 24s because most of my gates are only 12 feet wide. So one gate from them is two halves. So I use this half as a 12-foot gate in each gate opening. So I use one gate from them is two gates here. So that's what I do with them. I did once upon a time have it set for a 24-foot gate, but everywhere that I go through anything that wide isn't a day-to-day thing. So as I've made videos of with my pin lock insulators, in various spots I have two of them down on the ground, and I'll just take the wires, pull them out of these pin locks, push them down on the ground, and drive over the fence. So that's why I switched a lot of my fencing to gateless. I only have 3 gates on the whole farm, really. There's one that goes around here in the lanes, and then I just use a poly wire for the other half of that lane or gate. And then there's one that goes in the cow lot. There's one that goes in the steer lot. Everything else is it's all wire, solid wire, and I just drop the wire to the ground. Where am I now? Any interest in magnums, or are you thinking smaller? I'm thinking smaller. I really don't need anything more than 110 horsepower, 115 max. And I'm only thinking 115. You guys saw my 6400 pull the 2-row chopper. That little turd will get it done. I think 105 to 115 would be ideal. And then if I ever decide to run the bale slice in my baler, I just need a little more ponies for that. Those Magnums bring crazy money. That's because those Magnums are a great tractor. I mean, they do. They hold their value. There's nobody can say that John Deere is the best at holding their value because them old Magnums hold their value. Yeah, I'm going to get tired to explain the new name. Hey, Les from Southern Ontario. How's it going, Mr. Nate? Drive 29, normally hauling 1520. Tiverton, Ontario. Huh. I don't know. I'd have to search that on MapQuest. I don't know where I don't know much about the towns in Canada. Anytime somebody says they're here or there, I always got to search it. Mr. Nate. Massey, everything brings crazy money around here everywhere. Money around everywhere. Feed through gates for younger steers. Need suggestions. I guess, where are you located? First off, Elizabeth. You don't have to tell me town, just what part of a state. Malka runs 270, 210 Magnums. They're a nice tractor, but you gotta have deep pockets to buy them too. Your place is really coming along, Nate. Yes, it is. It's amazing when you took them trees out how much it opened that up. How's it going, Logan? Done moving dirt for the day? Yeah. I love the gateless. Just you can put a gate wherever you want, then just drop the wire to the ground. I hate barbed wire with a passion. There's nothing I hate more than barbed wire. We run deer, some New Holland, and Case IH. Yeah, they're all good. I don't mind running that 8160 of my cousin's. This is a nice tractor. I ran his 8970 1 year too. That tractor is turned up so much that when it's running the big square baler, it's black smoke, black smoke, black smoke with every stroke of the plunger. They figured it's pushing over 300 horsepower. It's just crazy. Upstate New York. Oh, that doesn't do you any good. I don't know up there. I don't know if Sioux sells any feeder panels, but if it were me, if you have the skill to weld, I'd build them myself. Otherwise, I would talk to a job shop or a small weld shop and see what they would charge to make some to your specifications. Because anything you buy is going to be crap compared to what you can make. That's why I started building my own, because everybody was bragging up their 20 gauge tube steel, feeders. 20 gauge is nothing. I'm building all mine out of 3/16 and 1/4 inch, and that's overkill. A lot of that even 1/8 inch is better than what these guys are selling. 20 gauge. So that would be my suggestion. Otherwise, I know Sioux sells feeder panels. Notch sells feeder panels, but I don't know who your supplier is in your area. What's the plan for the bale of dry? Well, the bale of dry that we already have baled right now will go to the cows after they start dropping them youngins. And then this spring, I don't know if we're going to bale or chop. I guess if I chop the winter rye, we're going to pile it and cover it. I hate to buy the plastic, but I got to get plastic regardless, so it'd be a heck of a lot cheaper to do that. Unless I buy a bale wrapper, but for what it costs me to rent the wrapper at $10 a bale, I'm better off to buy the wrapper. So I do not know for sure, but the baleage that I have now will go to the cows after they calve. Trying to save the better quality feed for after they're lactating. Right now, they're not lactating. Actually, right now they're backing off on feed. And you guys saw the other day, I gave them that big square bale. I finally had to feed them again tonight. Another bale. Normally it's a bale a day. Obviously, these big square bales are heavier than my smaller round bales. But I walked through the cows stand. A couple of them are getting loose below the tails, so tells me they're getting close. And actually, my first cow that calved last year, she looks like she's going to be the first one to calve again this year. Tiverton is 3.5 hours north of Detroit. Huh. Besides Lake Huron. That's pretty cool. So I think that's probably on the other side of your Canadian welder. What was Dad trying different videos? Yeah, I knew you said it was your dad. I didn't know if you were moving dirt too or what you were doing. I hate barbed wire more than tillage. You're darn right I do. I grew up chasing cattle. I hated barbed wire. You could go and run a power wire inside a barbed wire, and within a day it was wrapped around the barbed wire and the cows were on the road again. I hate barbed wire with a passion. When me and my wife bought this place, we tore all the barbed wire down. We put up. Back then, we didn't know about high tension, so we put everything in electric, and that was better than having barbed wire for it to get wrapped around. And then once I started working for, I started watching YouTube videos and learning a little bit about it. But I was made the offer to milk cows on a rotational grazing operation about 5 miles from here for really good money. I took the opportunity to get out of that hellhole job that I had and go do that and learn more of the hands-on rotational grazing. And who better to learn from than a guy that has his cows, his lactating milk cows, his dry cows, his heifers, his replacement heifers, and his heifer calves, all rotationally grazing year round. If they're not grazing, they are being outwintered outside. The only animals that have a shelter, per se, in the winter is the freestall barn and the cows at night. If it's not bad out during the day, they're outwintered out in the middle, out in the fields too. All of his young stock and heifers and dry cows, with the way the farm is set up, there's woods in different places, and you use the woods for their protection. You get them out of the wind, that's all they need. And those are dairy cattle. If you can do a dairy cattle, you can do a beef cattle. So I thought, who better to learn from than him? And that's where I learned most of my fencing was from him. So yeah, I hate barbed wire more than tillage even. Thanks, Les. We're looking at an Oliver or a white tractor. I have to get some more vids up. And we are running the tractors in the spring. We run Deere and IH now. Cool. There's nothing wrong with Oliver and White. White have a few improvements over the Oliver. I had an Oliver 1955 with a cab. It was a great tractor. When the transmission started going kaput, I traded that on the 4020. So deep tillage. When you're busy, it is hard to get other stuff done. I just talked to a weld shop in town to see if they can build them for 8-year specifications. And when you're building them, I don't know how you're going to mount them, if you want them freestanding or whatever. But if you mount them to posts, try and get it so if this is your feeder panel, it tips out. So if your cattle are on this side, the top tips out a little bit. Mine, I actually had spacers welded on the top, so the top would push against the post. My feeder panel, so here's the post, had a piece coming out the top, and the feeder panel sat at an angle like this. The cattle didn't rub on the top of it as much. Could possibly hire a high school shop class to build. There's another good idea. Again, Ted, coming up with good ideas here. I like tillage. We still moldboard plow. And, you have the right to like tillage. To me, on my lighter soil, it doesn't, I don't need to work the ground. I mean, I have never, I can't say never farmed clay. Growing up, we farmed rocks and clay and everything, and the township we grew up in was called Springfield, and the reason for it is they had a spring in every field. So that's what I grew up in, and where I'm at now is totally opposite of what I grew up in. And of course, we had plows and all that growing up, but since I moved here and started getting into this, I've realized that I don't have to on my farm. My ground isn't that heavy. And actually, the more I'm getting into no-till, actually the softer the ground is getting, so I'm not too worried about it. 2500 Big Tex and 350 dually. Was watching your hay spear weld job. You did better than you give yourself credit. The MIG machines are using. I am using a Hobart Handler 190, I believe it is. Either a 187 or a 190. It's the latest version. I had a 185 before that, and the 185 was on my cousin's service truck now. Basically because he's got the weld gen set on the truck, But some of the stuff for welding for the Amish, it's nicer to have the MIG welder. So I sold him my old Hobart and bought this one, and I should have bought the Iron Handler 270 or 230 or Iron Man 230, whatever it is, instead of this 190. But live and learn. That'll be the next one. It works fine, but where am I now? Don't shoot the shitty stuff down. That's where I make my money fixing it. A lot of Prefert and Powder River gates in this area. Between the two, I think Powder River is a heavier product. Biggest thing is when you're looking at them, compare the gauge. 20 gauge is thin material, and I think like I don't remember if it's Prefert gates or what their economy gates are, but their light duty gates are like a 20 or 24 gauge, and their heavy duty gates are an 18 gauge. There ain't much there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 1/8 inch is like 10 gauge. I believe it is. Right around there. So that tells you how thin that material is. Making your own gates might be overkill, but they last. That is exactly true. Pay for it one time. To build your own costs a little bit more, but you do it once. You don't replace them every 5 or 10 years. Post pounder or auger and concrete for steel corners and gates. If you're gonna set steel corner posts like round pipe and then weld them together, I would try to pound them in the ground and don't disturb the ground. And then if yours are already welded together, I don't know exactly how you go about doing it, but if you could pound them in the ground and not disturb the ground, you're going to be farther ahead. My biggest thing is all my fencing, I buy 10-foot corner posts. And there's only 4 to 5 feet of the corner post sticking out of the ground. Because if you do leverage, if you have more than half in the ground, your leverage point is down lower, so it stands better. But if you can keep from disturbing the ground, just pound them in the ground, you're better off. But otherwise, if you dig the holes, set it where you want it, pour concrete around it, down, so there's concrete in the bottom of the hole, but then you fill it back into dirt, that concrete cookie in there is going to have frozen ground above it, so it can't heave. That will be probably your best option, unless you can figure out a way to pound them in the ground. And I know, Nate, you have those corners that were already made before. You might have to just dig them, set them down in there where you want them, fill them with concrete, up so far, and then backfill with dirt over top. If you put them down in the ground 4 feet, put about a foot of concrete in the bottom and then 3 feet of dirt on top, because that way the ground on top will freeze. And if anything tries to heave them up, that cement cookie in there will prevent it from moving. And then if the ground is soft, it'll do the same. It'll kind of hold in place. That's what I would do if I were you. I like getting steel from the scrapyard to build feeders. And if you can find decent material for that, why not? Prefert does have great products. That's what Fleet Farm and Farm and Fleet carry in our area. I know Fleet Farm isn't nationwide, but that's a big name brand. Haggard Farms, I don't know where they're at, but his school builds feeders and feed panels. Get many tornadoes out there. So no, I'm a big weather nerd. This last couple of years, there's been plenty tornadoes. There was a lot of damage all over around here. Up in Chautauqua, they were hit, I don't know how many times, tornadoes. Down south of here. I had a live stream video of one coming crossed over top of the farm here this spring, and that's when we got all the hail that did the damage on the beans and everything. No, 2 different jobs. Monday will be doing the same job being a dozer. Be outside telling him what to do. Only problem with White Oliver is the part service. How's it going, Milo Valley Farms? How's it going, Canadian Hawk? Well, I've got to hit the den. See you later, Emerald Valley. Yeah, David. Yeah, they're talking about hauling bales. Yeah. Heavy duty roller with spikes. Loosen soil without tilling it. There's a lot of people do that. Aerators. Better hit the hay. I'm thinking the same thing. I got to go out and take care of some stuff outside yet. How do you deal with compaction issues with no-till? I have some hay fields that get compacted with the wet weather this year and don't want to dig them up. If you're having issues with that, I wouldn't want to work them up either. Because if you have grass established, that's a great thing. And we all know with grass crops, if we can let them mature and get a seed head on them before we knock them down with the mower, we can make it come back thicker by that happening. What I would do if I were you is, I don't remember exactly where you're from again. It depends on where you're at. Like in our area, they say mid to late August to put turnips and radish out, or rapeseed or something like that that has a really deep taproot. That's what I would do. And then either graze it off or have the killing frost kill it. Then that way, a plant did the work. A plant improved the soil. You didn't have to terminate a crop that was already there. That's what I would do. Otherwise, get no-till alfalfa into it, because alfalfa has a deep taproot too. It'll go down and kind of break it up. I don't remember if clover does or not. Clover has been the best thing for my farm for improving the soil. My slug contract has made me... Okay. Yeah, you're aerating the soil, yeah. We have a storm chaser that doesn't live too far away from here. I keep him on my Facebook page all the time, so every time he's chasing, he keeps me alert. How's it going, farm cards? Next year to try the goat thing. Yeah, I think my cousin's got them all spoken for. There's somebody up here that's been getting them all. How much wood have I burnt this year? Too much. I don't keep track. I've burnt a lot of wood, I can tell you that, especially the last, not this last week, but 2 weeks ago, and for 2 weeks there we were 30 below zero. The wood stove couldn't hardly keep up to nothing. We had a torpedo here running in the shop, and I turned the LP on in the house to try and cut back on the wood usage. See you later, Bandit. Pennsylvania. Yeah, see, you guys have a little bit longer growing season than we do, so I would say like early September, if you could get something like that. And here's the thing. The earlier you plant a radish and a turnip, they will produce seed. And if you plant them later, they don't produce a seed because they put all their energy into growing the plant. And if you plant them too early and you get that seed, in hay it isn't such a big deal because we cut hay often enough that we kind of eliminate the weeds by cutting it. But in other cases, if you plant it too early and it creates a seed, then it could become a weed, a weed issue. So I would say if we're mid-August to early September, I would say for you probably around September, plant it in the fall, broadcast or whatever, and let it, that tillage radish. I mean, I know it's a daikon radish or whatever, but I would try that if I were you because it's only going to benefit you. Them tillage radish can get huge. What do you think of the Mexican taking our gerbs? They want them. I mean, I don't blame them. There's a lot of them around here. What's everybody supposed to do? They're offering these jobs to people and nobody will do it. The Mexicans are the only ones that'll do it. So I don't know. There's so many people that are collecting welfare because they're too lazy to go work. They make more money on welfare. What it needs to do is They need to lower the price of welfare so actually going and taking a $10 an hour job looks good. Or make it so you have to work to get the benefits. I mean, it's not just take the benefits away by any means, but there's got to be a thing here where you got to at least work for your benefits a little bit or try or something. I mean, it's, I'm not against helping people by any means. So, but with the Mexicans coming here, they're the only ones that want to do the job. So, if the Mexicans couldn't do the job, a lot of these guys would have nobody to work for them because they don't even want to milk their own cows. But I got nothing against the Mexicans doing the job. You know, there's a lot of them that have become citizens. As long as they do it legally. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Rye does a great job of top layer compaction. You look like a serial killer. Well, I'm not. See you later, John Deere fan. I believe the days are getting shorter. Radish turnips will not produce seed, but a plant. That's exactly right. No, I'm not an ISIS recruiter. Anything broadcast on the corn stubble. That's what I want to try. If I can get the 3-point thing figured out in the 6400, because it's the only thing I have that's narrow that I can get through. If I get the 3-point work and I've got that big herd seeder, I want to broadcast in a V4, V5, V6 winter eye, because they say at that point, by the time the winter eye gets emerged, the corn is already canopied, so the winter eye kind of lays dormant underneath it. And I want to do it with red clover too, red clover and winter eye. And then get my corn harvested, and I'm talking my combine corn, silage corn, there's plenty of time to get a crop established. But then by the time we combine it, that winter eye, as soon as the corn starts to cannibalize or turn yellow, that winter eye and undergrowth will start growing. We get a harvest that we've already got a crop growing underneath it, turn the cows out there. Let them graze as long as they can. I'm considering going back to a small grain that I can use for my creep feeder, for my calves, and for finishing steers for bedding crop, and then it'll be harvested earlier so we can get a winter eye crop in behind it or a grazing crop. Lots of Americans don't want to do the work. That's exactly it. Rye and oats. Rye and oats are two foolproof crops. That is the way I feel. I know nothing about the radishes other than what I've watched, but I think if you were to play around with a medium red clover or a crimson clover, a winter rye, oats, and a radish, I think you'd have a hell of a cover crop. You've got a nitrogen fixator, you've got a tillage tool, and you've got a fodder builder, and you theoretically, if you look at the plant on top, what it has on top, it has more below. So when you're talking about building soil, organic matter, what's on top is better to stay on top, and what's below is better to stay below. That's the idea of cover crops and no-till. Because if you turn the soil, you expose carbon that's in the soil, and it's gone. Or if you leave it there, it keeps building. And if you can leave this on top, and roll it down and plant into it, you're better off. If you have cattle, graze it off. They'll, defecate and urinate on top, and then plant your crop into it. But I think for ease of use, they say the radish is awesome. It's super easy to establish. Oats are too dumb to know when it's too late in the year to grow. Winter rye grows no matter where you put it. And, medium red clover is a foolproof crop. I mean, it's a nitrogen fixator. It's easy. Yeah, I kind of agree with Wes on that. I mean, I don't pay a lot of attention to that because it doesn't necessarily directly affect me, but I know they need to make some changes. Yeah. Well, if he wants to plant beans, then it's going to be hard to get it combined. Yeah, test plots are the greatest thing because what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. And test plots are great because you know, the more test plots you have, the more ideas you get at one time. So, or the more outcomes you're going to get at one time. I will check out your channel, bud. Turtle Lake, how's it going? Have you ever baled your red clover? I have baled my red clover. Baled it a lot. The problem with the red clover is we all know it's hard to get it to dry. But back when I was baling a lot of it, I actually planted a lot of straight medium red clover, nothing with it. That's back when I had the bale wrapper. Then it didn't matter. So, but I always tried to wait till I saw my clover go to seed or the seed had turned black. It was usually a lot easier to get it to dry down then. But since then, I've gone to using a lot of orchard grass with my mix. So the orchard grass kind of takes over. As we all know, clover only lasts for so long. Unless you let it mature all the time and keep dropping seeds, then it sticks around. But if you graze it too soon or keep cutting it too soon before it makes seed, it only lasts a couple years. All right, see you later, Logan. Yeah, I gotta end this right now. Anyways, I gotta go outside and get some things done yet tonight. So, how's the weather in Wisconsin? It's still about. The heck does that say? Still 32 degrees right now. So, thanks for stopping by Grass Creek Farm. I almost went through Turtle Lake today, but I decided to stay home. Yeah, good night, D Haven. Yeah, good night, everybody. I think we're going to call her a night because it's been over 2 hours now. And I still got stuff to do outside and 2 girls that want to see me for a while. So, anyhow, thanks for watching, everybody. I got some more videos coming up here soon. So, we'll stay tuned for those. And we'll catch y'all later. So,